Okay, we want to pick up where we left off on this review packet, and that was with question number 25. And question 25 requires you to use the amortization chart or loan factor chart. It means the same thing. Amortization chart or loan factor chart. You need to be familiar with that terminology, which is on page 449 in your book. They want to identify the correct principal and interest payment for $1,000 borrowed. Well, that's what this chart is. It's payments for every $1,000 that somebody borrows. It's their principal and interest payment in dollars and cents. So, if you go on that chart on page 449, and we want to look at the 15-year note column, which is the third column over. You got the rate column, and you got term 10 years, term 15 years. So the 15-year column on page 449. Yeah, I'll write that down. Page 449. Okay. And when you go to the 15-year column, then you want to come down and you want to look at 5.5. You want to look at 5.5% interest. So 15 years, 5.5% interest, and that is going to be $8.18. Our loan factor is $8.18. So that's $8.18 in PI payment if we borrowed exactly $1,000. So for every $1,000 we borrowed, we're paying $8.18 monthly in principal and interest as far as repayment goes. Now number 26 is basically just a follow-up to that question, and number 26 says that they want us to calculate the monthly PI payment of a $50,000. Sorry, I'm struggling with my machine. They want to move here for me. Why? Alright, calculate the monthly payment for a $50,000 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 6.5% interest. Okay? So, we want to do the same thing. We want to go to that chart. First look at the chart, and we want to find a couple things on the chart. We want to find the 30-year column, and we also want to find the 6.5% row. So the 30-year column is going to be all the way over on the right. Go all the way to the right on that same column, page 449 in your textbook, because that's the only way you can calculate a PI payment is to go to that column. So go all the way to that, or go to that chart, go all the way to the 30-year column, and then look at 6.5% or 6.5, same thing. And that is $6.32 per $1,000 borrowed. But we didn't borrow $1,000. Our loan amount is $50,000. Okay? And since that's a payment per 1,000, we can divide this by 1,000 and get 50 units or 50 payment units. So that's $6.32 times 50, because we borrowed $50,000, and 632 times 50 is going to give us a monthly payment of $316 for principal and interest on that loan. $316. Number 27 asks us to calculate the total monthly PI payment on an 80% loan-to-value loan, which is used to purchase a $360,000 home in Raleigh, assuming the borrower elected for a 30-year fixed-rate note at 5.25% interest. This is very much similar to what you might expect to see on a test question, because it's combining a bunch of things. They want to know the PI payment. Well, for a PI payment, you got to have an amortization factor. We need to know what that loan amortizes at. So it amortizes at, and then we go to our chart on page 449, and page 449 in your textbook, and we're going to look at 30 years, the 30-year column, and we're going to look at that 5.25% interest rate. So when you find the 30-year column and you find the 5 1/4 interest rate, grab myself a piece of paper here so I can line it up. It's the hardest thing, is to line it up so I can see what I'm doing. That is $5.53. So it amortizes at $5.53, all right? Which means that's the payment for every $1,000 we borrowed. So now we need to know how much we're borrowing. Well, what we know about that is the property's worth $360,000, and we're borrowing 80% loan to value on that. So $360,000 times 80% loan to value, that is a $288,000 loan divided by 1,000, because this is a payment per 1,000, this number up here. And so that's 288 payment blocks times $5.53 per 1,000. And that gives us a monthly PI payment of $1,592.64. And that's monthly PI. Monthly principal and interest. All right, number 28. What's the interest paid over the life of a $100,000 30-year fixed rate 4.5% rate mortgage with monthly principal and interest payments of $506? So these are going to be the simple ones that will throw you off because you want to make it tougher than it is. We already know how much we pay every single month. We pay $506 per month. And there are 12 months a year, so we can calculate how much we pay annually. And we're going to make that payment for 30 years in this case. So that's going to be times 30 years. So 506 times 12 times 30, that equals $182,160 total. And that's principal and interest, because that was a PI payment they gave us up here, this 506. Well, if we've paid $182,160 back to the bank in total for principal and interest, we should be able to just subtract out the $100,000 that we originally borrowed in principal, and that would leave us with the interest that's paid on that loan. So $82,160 is going to be the interest paid over the life of that loan. $82,160 interest paid over the life of the loan. Okay. And number 29 says, what would be the interest paid over the life of the same loan in question 28 if the borrower elected for a 15-year term loan at 4% interest with monthly PI payments of $739. So again, it's just another loan, and we know that we're paying $739 this time, times 12 months a year, times, in this case, 15 years. So $739 a month times 12 months a year times 15 years, that's $133,020 total PI that we pay back, repayment. So we paid the bank back $133,020. Well, if you go back to the previous question, we only borrowed $100,000. So we should be able to say, okay, well, if we paid back $133,020, we only borrowed $100,000, that means we paid $33,020 in interest over the life of that loan. $33,020 in interest since we took out that loan over the whole course of it. All right, number 30 says, what's the difference in the interest paid over the life of the two loans in questions 28 and 29? All right, so we have to go back up and look and see what was the interest paid on the first one. On the first one, it's $82,160. $82,160 on loan 1, and on loan 2 it was $33,020. $82,160 minus $33,020. That gives us a difference of $49,140 between those two loans. So by going for that 15-year note in number 29, they would save $49,140 in interest. All right. Number 31, how much interest is paid over the life of an 80% loan-to-value loan used to purchase a $240,000 home if the borrower opts for a 15-year fixed-rate note at 6% interest. So they want to know how much interest is paid over the life of this loan. So for interest paid over the life of the loan, it's the same thing we just did. We need to know the monthly payment. We need that monthly payment amount. So monthly payment is necessary because we need the monthly payment times 12, and in this case it's a 15-year note, so times 15. That's the only way we can get to interest paid over the life of the loan. Well, they didn't give us the monthly payment this time. What they did do is tell us it's 15 years and 6% interest. And we can calculate the payment from that. We can look it up. We can go to page 449 in the textbook. You go to page 449 and you look at the 15-year chart, or a column rather, and then you look at 6% interest. It looks like $8.44 per thousand. So we got $8.44 per thousand is our payment. Now, we didn't borrow just $1,000, we borrowed more than that. So we need to calculate how much more than that. Well, it's a $240,000 purchase times 80% loan to value is $192,000 loan. So that $8.44 per 1,000 is going to get multiplied times this 192. And our monthly payment is $16.20 Okay, so that's our monthly PI payment. All right, give myself a little room here to work so it stays spread out. Okay, that with it, fix it. All right, so go back up here. So I've got $1,620.48 is my monthly payment. Well, if you go back to this first thing we wrote down, We needed the monthly payment times 12 times 15. Well, now we have that. So it's this times 12, and then times 15 years, because it's 12 months a year and 15 years. That's going to give us the total repayment on that loan. 16, 20, 48 times 12 times 15. That is $291,686.40, principal and interest combined. Total amount is $291,686.40. Here's what we know about that though. Not all of it was interest. This much over here, this amount, that $192,000, was actual principal, was borrowed money. So minus $192,000 that we actually borrowed, that's the principal, which we're subtracting out. And that gives us total interest of $99,686.40. And that's the total interest that's paid over the full life of that loan, $99,686.40. Okay. Number 32 builds on that question. It says, how much additional interest will be paid by the same borrower in question 31 over the life of their loan if they opt for a 30-year note at the same interest rate? So if they opt for a 30-year note at the same interest rate, okay, so we have to go back up and look at what we were working with here. Right? That same interest rate, except we want to go to 30 years. So let's go back up and look at what our interest rate is. 6% interest, okay? So it's going to be the same loan, $192,000, but this time it's 6% interest for 30 years. So let's just write that down. Remind ourselves, it's $192,000 for the loan. At 6% interest for 30 years. Okay? So we go to that chart on page 449, and we want to look up 6% interest and 30 years, which is $6 exactly. So our new loan factor, or amortization factor, is $6 per 1,000. $6 per 1,000 times, again, we borrowed $192,000, so times 192. That means our payment is now $1,152 a month for principal and interest. Okay, $1,152 a month for principal and interest. Right? And we're making that payment 12 months a year for 30 years now. So 1152 times 12 times 30 is $414,720 in total principal and interest. And of course we know that $192,000 of that was the actual loan, the principal amount. So $414,720 minus $192,000 is $222,720 in interest. $222,720 in interest paid over the life of that loan. Well, the question here, what they asked us in the question was, what is the additional interest that would be paid? All right, so that's again just the difference between the two. So we have to go back and look at what the interest was in the previous question. And that was $99,686.40. Okay, so we've got 99. Oops. All right. 99,686 and 60 cents. Back up and make sure that number is correct. I believe it is. Yeah, 99,686. Oh, 686.40. Sorry. 686 and 40 cents. Okay. And on this loan, we paid $222 in additional interest. So we can subtract the two. 222, 720, minus 99,686, 40 cents. That's an additional $123,033.60 in interest. $123,033.60 in additional interest is paid on that loan. Right. Number 33, a 15-year mortgage note at 7% annual interest amortizes at $8.98. So in this case, they didn't tell us to go to the chart, they just gave us the number. That's the same thing. They gave us the number from the chart on page 449. If Cynthia obtains a $305,500 mortgage loan under these terms, how much interest will she pay over the life of her loan? Well, interest paid over the life of the loan is going to be monthly PI payment times 12 months a year times the term of the loan, which is 15 years in this case. So we need a monthly payment. Well, what we know about that monthly payment is that it's $8.98 per thousand borrowed. And we know that we borrowed $305,500. Well, again, we're just going to kind of cut it off right there. So times 305.5. You could also say 305,500 divided by 1,000. And that would give you 305.5. So now we can calculate our payment. $8.98 times 305.5. And we end up with a total amount or total monthly payment of $2,743.39, and that's PI monthly. So that's the number we need right here. So then we want that number again times 12 months a year times 15 years. And that's $493,810.20. $493,810.20 in total PI, principal and interest. But they want to know just the how much interest. That's their question. How much interest? So to get just the interest, we need to subtract out the original loan balance, which is $305,500. $305,500, we're going to subtract that out. And that's $188,310.20 in interest. $188,310.20 in interest paid over the life of that loan. Okay. All right, now we've got the homework session here, or section. All right, and we'll just continue right on into that. And I know we sort of did some of these in class and some at home, but I wanted to keep the whole packet together in one place. Number 34 says, Moira is purchasing a home for $450,000 and obtaining a 90% loan-to-value, 30-year fixed-rate mortgage issued at 6% interest to accomplish the purchase. The loan amortizes at $6 per thousand. Basing this information, what's the remaining balance of the loan after 2 monthly payments. So I have read that whole thing just quickly because I need to know what the question is. You cannot read for detail the first time through. There's too much detail. You don't know what's important, what you need. So just glance through, browse through, get to the question. Now you can go back and read for more detail to try to figure out what's going to be the best way to tackle this question. All right? So scroll back up here. All right. So what's the remaining balance on the loan after 2 payments? So first thing we need to do is figure out how much we borrowed anyway. Because if we're talking about the remaining balance on the loan, we need to know a starting balance on the loan. So $450,000 times that 90% loan-to-value ratio is $405,000 for the loan amount. Okay? So we have a $405,000 loan. Here's what we know about that loan. It amortizes at $6 per thousand. So we can calculate a monthly payment by saying $6 per thousand and we can multiply that times the number of thousands we borrowed. Well, we borrowed 405,000, so times 405. $6 times 405 is $2,430 total PI monthly. Okay, that's our monthly mortgage payment. Now, when we talk about, we go back to the original question, what is the remaining balance on the loan after 2 payments? Well, now we know how much the payments are. We need to know how much of that first payment is going toward principal. And the way we have to do that is to pay the interest first. So, we've got to pay the interest first. We're going to start with the loan balance. $405,000 times our interest rate of 6%. That equals $24,300 in annual interest. And we can divide that by 12 to get it to monthly interest. So divide that by 12 equals $2,025 in monthly interest. Okay? Well, here's what we know about our payment. We know that the total payment is $2,430 for PI, and we know that the first $2,025 of that is going toward the interest. So $2,430 minus $2,025, that is $405 that is going to go toward our interest. $405 going toward interest. Principal. I'm sorry, principal. 405 going toward principal. And so if 405 is going toward principal, that's what we need to apply it back to, that principal balance of $405,000. So our payment 1 looks like this. $405,000 minus $405 equals $404,595. $404,595 is our balance after 1 payment. We wanted to know 2 though. We need to know 2 payments. So we're just going to restart the process. Times 6% interest, and that's going to give us annual interest of $24,275.70, which we're going to divide by 12. And that will give us monthly interest $2,022.98. Well, here's what we know about the payment in month number 2. We know that it's still the same $2,430. That we know. So we can come back down here and take our $2,400 We can take our $2,430 monthly PI payment, pay the interest first. So $2,022.98 in interest is paid first. And that leaves $407.02 going toward principal. And again, that's going to be applied to our principal balance. So for payment 2, our math looks like this. $404,595, which is our balance after one payment, minus $407.02 for payment number 2. And that leaves us with a remaining balance of $404,187.98 after 2 payments. It's a lot of work. I realize that. It takes a while to get there. Substantial amount of work. Okay? Number 35 is the same thing, except number 35 wants us to go even further. It wants us to go 3 payments. It wants us to go 3 payments. So I'm just going to start here. Payment number 1. I'll write down payment 1 and start working on it. All right, here's what I know. It says Jocelyn's home was purchased utilizing a $325,000 15-year fixed rate note at 4.5% annual interest. The monthly payment, PITI payment, is $2,983 a month. Jocelyn's annual property taxes are $4,800, and she has annual homeowners insurance premiums of $1,200. Based on this information, what will the balance be on Jocelyn's mortgage after her first 3 payments? So they want to know, what will the balance be after 3 payments? So here's what we know about that monthly payment. We know that the monthly payment is $2,983 for PITI. And we know we have to pay these things in reverse order. So we're looking at paying this first, this second, this third, and this fourth. So let's pay the insurance first. Let's work on paying the insurance first. So the insurance that tells us it has annual homeowners insurance premiums of $1,200. So we got $1,200 annual premiums, but of course we're making a monthly payment, so we want to divide that by 12. That's $100 per month in insurance. So we're going to subtract $100 for insurance. Now we want to pay the taxes. They tell us that the property taxes are $4,800 a year. So we got $4,800 a year in property taxes divided by 12 to get to monthly. That's $400 a month in property taxes. So we're going to subtract that $400. Okay? So we've now paid the insurance, we've paid the taxes. We need to pay the interest. That's the next step for us. Pay the interest. So when we look at paying the interest, we're talking about a loan balance of $325,000 times 4.5% annual interest equals $14,625 annually divided by 12 equals $1,000 $218.75 monthly. $1218.75 monthly. So now we can subtract the interest up here of $1218.75 for interest. And that will allow us to get our math here. Put it right here. So $2,983 payment minus the $100 for insurance, minus the $400 for taxes, minus $1,218.75, and that equals $1,264.25 going toward our principal. Okay, so $1,264.25 is going toward our principal. So finally, we're able to do payment number 1. Just on payment number 1 still. We have a beginning balance of $325,000 minus $1,264.25. That leaves us owing, after payment number 1, $323,735.75. So now we're ready to work on payment number 2. All that just to get us to the point where we can work on payment number 2. The good news is we don't have to reproduce all of that work, because what we still know is a lot of the same things that we knew from payment number 1. We know a lot of the same exact things that we knew from payment number 1. Okay? So let's look at it. We still know the monthly payment amount, which is still $2,983. Okay? So that number right here, excuse me, draw a line through it. That payment, that monthly payment of $2,983 stays the same. We also know that the insurance and the taxes are going to stay the same. So we can deal with that right away. We can go ahead and factor that in. So we got $2,983 a month for our second payment. $2,983 is the monthly PITI payment. And we know that we're losing minus $100 a month in insurance, minus $400 a month in taxes. We pay those first. Now we have to calculate the interest piece right here, and we don't know that. So that's where we have to go back to our previous month's balance and start with that. So we've got $323,735.75 times 4.5% annual interest and that's $14,568.11 annually, which we divide by 12. And that's going to give us monthly of $1,214.01 in monthly interest. Okay, $1,214.01, which we can subtract back from our payment over here. Interest. And finally, we can calculate the loan balance after, or how much of that is going toward principal. So we got $2,983 is our total payment, minus $100 for insurance, minus $400 for taxes, minus $1,214.01 for interest, and we left with $1,268.99 going toward the principal. And of course that principal number gets applied back to our loan balance. So our last math step for payment number 2 is going to be to take the loan balance of $323 $323,735.75 minus $1,268.99 that's getting paid down. And that's a new loan balance after 2 payments of $322,466.76. So that's after 2 payments. It's a very long process, obviously. So, on the test, that's why we don't think you'll see more than 2 at most. But they asked for 3 here, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do 3. All right? So let's go ahead and work on payment number 3. So here's the thing about payment 3. Same thing was true with payment number 2. A lot of this information stays exactly the same. That $29.83 total payment, the $100 going toward insurance, the $400 going toward taxes, that all stays the same. So we got a $29.83 total PITI payment. Okay, and we've got $100 of that being spent on insurance, and we've got $400 of that being spent on taxes. So now we need to calculate how much of that is being spent on interest. Well, to calculate the interest piece, we're going to look at the beginning balance from the previous month, $322, $466.76 times our interest rate, which we know is still 4.5%, annual interest, sorry, my computer needs to be restarted. Do that here in a second. Try to get through this video with it. Fighting with it right now. 322, 466.76 times 4.5%, and that equals $14,511 even in annual interest divided by 12, because we want to break that down to monthly. So that equals monthly interest of $1,209.25 every month. So monthly interest. And that number we're going to bring right back over here. So minus $1,209.25. So now we've paid our insurance, we've paid our taxes, we've paid our interest. So $29.83 total payment, minus $100 for insurance, minus $400 for property taxes, minus $1,209.25, and that leaves us with a remaining balance, or a remaining amount going toward principal of $1,273.75. And that's a good thing because it's a little bit more than the previous month, which is what it should be. Remember, your interest should be coming down month by month, and your principal should be going up a little bit month by month. And so our final math step is going to be to take our loan balance after 2 payments, which is $322. Straight marks here. Okay. $322. $466.76 minus $1,273.75, and that leaves us with a balance after 3 payments, finally, of $321,193.01. $321,193.01. That's after 3 payments on that note. And you probably need a break after that because that's a long question. Right? Number 36, Tyler is considering whether he should take a 30-year mortgage loan at 5% interest that amortizes at 5.36 or a 15-year note at 4.5% interest that amortizes at 7.64. What would be the difference in interest paid over the life of these 2 loans if Tyler were to borrow $175,000? So that it's a life or interest over the life of the loan question, and it's actually dealing with 2 loans, and they want to know the difference between the interest on those 2 loans. So I'm just going to kind of draw a line down the center of my page here, divide them out so we can work with 2 loans. And we're going to do the 30-year over here and the 15-year over here, and then we're going to compare the 2. Right? So for the 30-year, we know that the amortization is $5.36 per 1,000 borrowed. Okay? That's what an amortization factor is. And we're doing that 12 months a year. Oh, sorry. I have to yet calculate how much our payment is. Okay? He's borrowing $175,000, so times 175. Right? So $5.36 times 175. This is where that comes from, right here. That's a payment of $938 for principal and interest. $938 monthly payment, which he is now we're ready for. He's doing that 12 months a year, and he's doing it for 30 years. Okay, so 938 times 12 times 30. That's total principal and interest of $337,680, and he borrowed $175,000. So that would give us interest on this thing. Scroll down just a hair here. That would give us interest on this loan. That give my subtraction of $337,680 minus $175,000, $162,680. So in loan number 1, we've got interest of $162,680. Okay? This was up here, PI, and this was the principal we subtracted, so we're just left with the interest. Now let's look at the 15-year note. Here's what we know about the 15-year note. That one amortizes at $7.64 per 1,000. And we still need to multiply it times 175 because we're borrowing $175,000. And that equals $1,337 per month principal and interest. And we're going to multiply that times 12 months a year times 30 years. In this case, so times 12 months a year times 30 years. And that equals total principal and interest of $481,320. And of course, we know we borrowed $175,000 of that. And so that leaves us with interest on the 15-year note. This is where your instructor makes mistakes as well. Let me back up here. If you're watching at home, hopefully you caught my mistake better than I did. This is supposed to be a 15-year note, not a 30. So back up here. There we go. Glad I caught that. So times 15 years on this note. So 1337 times 12 times 15. There we go. And that is $240,000 $660. I didn't think that number looked right before. Minus the $175,000 we're borrowing. And that leaves us now with interest paid over the life of that loan of $65,660. So the question is, what's the difference between these two? They want us to compare those two. So we can just subtract them. 162,680 minus 65,660. The difference in interest paid between those two loans is $97,020. $97,020 difference in interest paid between those two loans. Alright. Number 37 says Casey makes her monthly mortgage payment of $1,285 on August 1. She has a 30-year fixed rate mortgage note issued at 4% annual interest, and this payment includes $954 in interest. Based on this information, what is the outstanding mortgage balance of the loan? Alright, so if you think about the T-bar that we have for interest, it looks like this. You've got annual interest on the top, and on the bottom you have the loan balance or principal balance, and on the bottom you have the interest rate, the annual interest rate. Look at the question. They want to know what is the outstanding mortgage balance. What is the outstanding mortgage balance on the loan? That's right here. So the T-bar says we need annual interest divided by the annual interest rate. Well, they gave us the annual interest rate of 4%, so we can just bring that down. So we got 4% here for our annual interest rate. They did not give us the annual interest though. What they gave us was $1,285 total payment, which included $954 in interest. So we have $954 in monthly interest, so times 12 months should give us annual interest. $954 times 12 months is $11,448 in annual interest, and that number is going to get brought over here to the top of our formula. So we've got $11,448 up there. 11,448 divided by 4% interest, and that loan balance is $286,200. $286,200 for a loan balance. Number 38, what's the payoff balance of a mortgage loan as of October 17th if the interest accrues in arrears and the last mortgage payment was made on October 1? If the balance after that payment was $234,505 and the note is issued at 3.75% annual interest. So this is an accrued interest question. Here's what we know. Interest has been accruing since October 1 because we made the last payment on October 1 and paid all of our interest that had built up to that point. So we want accrued interest from October 1. Straight marks again. So we want accrued interest from October 1 through October 17th, which is 17 days of accrued interest. 17 days of accrued interest. So let's work on that. We have a loan balance of $234,505 times 3.75% annual interest. So that gives us annual interest of $8,793.50. $2,294.94, and that's annual. We want 17 days worth, so we need to break this down into daily. So divide it by 360. Divided by 360. And that equals $24.43 per day. Right? $24.43 per day times 17 days is $415.31 in accrued interest. Our payoff balance, because that's what they're asking us for, our payoff balance right here is going to be whatever our loan balance was at the beginning of the month, which is $234,505, plus the interest we've accrued, which is $415.31, and that gives us a total payoff of $234,920.31. $234,920.31. Right? And number 39. How much is the interim interest owed on a new 80% loan-to-value mortgage loan obtained toward the purchase of a $300,000 home that closes on September 12 if the note is issued at 6.25% interest? Well, interim interest is always going to be from the day of closing forward. So, in this case, from September 12th through September 30th. Because it's always from the day of closing till the end of the month. Interim interest is always from the day of closing till the end of the month. So that is going to be 19 days. It's not 18 days, it's 19 days. Because if you were to count them, for example, remember we have to count the 12. So we would go 12, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 5, 10, 15, 19 days. 19 days. You've got to get that part right. Okay? The other thing we need to know is the loan amount. $300,000 home, but we're only borrowing 80% of that. We've got an 80% loan-to-value ratio. And that's a $240,000 loan. Okay? That $240,000 loan is issued at 6% interest, so times 6%, I'm sorry, 6.25%. Don't want to forget that extra quarter of a percent there. So that is issued at 6.25% interest annually. And that equals $15,000 in annual interest, but we want 19 days, so we need to break that down immediately to daily. So we're going to divide that by 360, and we get $41.67 per day in interest. $41.67 per day in interest times 19 days. And that is $791.67 in interim interest. And that would be paid by the buyer on the closing statement. It would be debited from the buyer, charged to the buyer on the closing statement. finally, number 40 is a discount points question. What would be the total charge for discount points on a closing where the buyer is obtaining a $275,000 mortgage loan and buying the rate down from 5.25 to 5%? Okay, so total charge for discount points, that's what they're asking us. Well, we know the total charge for discount points is going to be the number of points times 1% of the loan, because each point costs 1% of the loan. So we could go ahead if we wanted to, we could say we got a $275,000 loan times 1%, it's going to cost $2,750 per point, per discount point. $2,750. So now all we need to know is how many of them we need to buy. Well, here's what they tell us about the loan. We want to go from 5.25 down to 5. So we want to change that rate by 0.25. That's our rate change. Hopefully you also remember that each point changes the rate by 0.125. Each discount point buys that rate down by 0.125. So 0.25 divided by 0.125 equals 2 discount points. Well, if each point costs $2,750 and we need to buy 2 of them, the total amount for that is $5,500. $5,500 total to buy those discount points. And that covers it for that math packet. I realize it's long, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of math, but there's going to be a lot of that math on the exam, so you need lots of practice and you need to be very familiar with these kinds of questions.